Hello, happy Thursday. Let's see. Y'all are gonna love this author because she went viral on TikTok, and I am glad to have her.
Hello.
That was fast.
I was trying to get it popped up right away actually, which is sometimes surprising with lives. 'Cause sometimes I feel like it takes forever to get on, and then sometimes we're just right on. Let's see. Yup, that's not what I wanted. I don't know how to make this go away. There we go. I was actually trying to look back and see when we talked last.
I will tell you. So, welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Meyer, and I have with me contemporary romance author Mollie Goins. Welcome, Mollie.
Hello.
We last talked in August.
Was it August?
And yes, I know. Like, time has gone by so fast. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's middle of February. Well, Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
Yes, Valentine's Day. Oh, me and my husband actually went to the store earlier and we always do just small things for Valentine's Day, so we went and got like surprise little gift baskets to exchange for Valentine's Day.
Cute.
It was fun. We checked out and we're like, don't look at it, don't look at it. Like, we're at the store at the same time.
That's cute. Yeah, I was debating if I do Galentine's Day because I'm a single Pringle, and I love that. So, but I don't know.
Galentine's Day, I feel though is a better holiday than Valentine's Day. That's what we're like. We usually don't even really do much, but we were like, let's just do small gift baskets. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't have to do anything.
I know, it's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, we last talked and you had gotten TikTok famous. You went viral. And we talked right after that. So you were able to leave your current career. So I think that was after book 2. When did you release book 3?
I released book 3 August 9th.
Okay, so we had talked shortly after that.
Yeah, we did. If it was August, I was able to quit my corporate job, and I've been doing this full time ever since, which is, I mean, it feels odd because I feel like August feels like it's years behind us, but then also feels like it was just yesterday at the same time.
That is so awesome. Congratulations again for your success. So I have a whole lot of questions around that, and I thought we'd talk about the sister series first.
Yeah.
And what happened, and then we'll get into your new series, which releases on the 21st, the first book in the series. And that is such a cute title, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So tell us about the sister series, Aster Creek.
My chat's being so weird. Is yours loading? Mine's like frozen for some reason. But I guess that doesn't matter. I was just trying to fix it. Okay. Mine's not loading. Anyways, that's fine. I'm sorry. The Aster Creek series, right? Is that what we're on? Okay. The Aster Creek series, which is super exciting. It actually just came out book 1 came out in Audible on the 11th. So I'm
Congratulations.
Excited. And then I got word that the second book will come to Audible on March the 18th. And pre-orders are up and live for it. And I am so excited. So it follows 3 sisters. It's a contemporary small town romance. It's got book 1 is the oldest sister. And then it's got neighbors to lovers, boss's daughter. And the 3 sisters, their dad is like the police chief, and it's always funny to me because everyone who reads it's like, we love their dad, like we just love their dad. I feel like everyone loves just a good dad in the books. So he's like the police chief. So then book 2, it is another police officer. So it has that boss's daughter element, but it's like single guardian. She's a teacher and she teaches his niece. And so you've got a little bit of like that kind of close, almost forced proximity that they kind of have to be around each other, dislike to love. And then book 3 has really been my biggest seller. It really has. Despite it all, has like, it did so well on TikTok, and that really changed a course of a lot of stuff for my career, which has been so exciting.
Take us through that, because a lot of authors have not received the fame, the reviews, the money you have. So take us how it's changed in so many areas.
It's changed so much, and which, I mean, even with the views and the things that I've seen, I know that I could still grow, and that is something that like every day I try to work on. Like, there's still more to learn in this career, but it's been insane. I was blessed to work, or I'm still blessed currently to work with Courtney. She helps me with my TikTok a lot. Her @ is Romance Read with Court, and she really like helped me learn the algorithm. So she gave me a bunch of tips on how to do TikTok. And the biggest thing that we do is consistency. Like, I post twice a day on TikTok, morning and night, and then which she posts 4 times a week. So 4 videos out of the week are hers, and then the rest are mine. And so 14 videos, she does 4. And then I just started a backup account that has also been doing extremely well. And I post on it once a day.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of social media, because I know authors, it's one of the things they probably dislike the most.
It's
when I talk to them, because it can be
so
full-time job.
It really is, because then on top of that, I post to Instagram at least once a day, if not twice a day. And yeah, it's a lot. Social media it takes up a big chunk, like a huge chunk, and which TikTok itself, I've put a lot of love into it. It's the app I spend the most time on, and just kind of I really leaned into it over these past few months, and it has really showed really great return, and that's been crazy.
I think that's wonderful, because I've heard from many authors that TikTok has gotten even more sensitive. Their censorship is like it's crazy. You can't have, I have shirtless men.
Yeah.
Those always get flagged. But it's like you can barely have any skin at all of anyone showing. And the censorship, everyone says, is like getting nuts with it on TikTok. How do you feel? Or what have you experienced?
So the censorship, honestly, which I run most of my stuff through Canva. Like, I create my stuff through Canva. I mark out if anyone watching my TikTok is the same as my Instagram. So you're more than welcome to go look at kind of how I do it. Just little lines through the curse words. The same, I have noticed, like, we don't use very many like people pictures, especially like with the skin. We don't use a lot of that. But I will say, oddly enough, like, if someone comments something mean, TikTok's on it. Like, if you're gonna comment something harsh, I'm usually not even opening it, and it'll say like comment unavailable.
Oh, good.
So a lot of times, like, that stuff is just gone, which I say knock on wood. I'll probably get like a really mean comment later. But it does have its drawbacks, because it's like, some people do get really creative in censoring their words. So the censorship is really tight, but sometimes that honestly isn't a bad thing, because sometimes the trolls be really commenting.
Well, that means the algorithm hit them. They always say, like, bad publicity is still publicity.
Yes, that it is, and that's something we have to get used to, and that's okay. I usually, if I do see them, I just ignore them and move on with my day. Engagement's engagement,
I love that attitude that you have towards it, because I know, we get, excuse me, insecure about our work, right? We're putting out a piece of us, and nobody wants to have haters, but then they also can drive their algorithm. But you have to have really thick skin to read your reviews and to read your comments.
You really, really do. And that's something that I've worked really hard on, and I'm still very imperfect about it, because I think we had talked last that I do read my reviews. Which a lot of times people get really, really, they're like, don't read them. I won't read them if I'm in a bad mental space.
Sure.
If I am not if I know I'm about to go sit down and write, I am not going to look at
Yeah, that's not the time.
Not the time. And I haven't looked at my old books reviews in a while. I usually look at them within the first couple of months. And really, a lot of what I've learned with Despite It All and through writing Picture Us is my confidence in my writing. So I'm hoping I can really kind of draw back on that a little. But I am someone that while it does kind of hurt a little bit sometimes to read those critical reviews, I owe a lot of my growth to the critical reviews I got with my debut. And I mean, it just got picked up for Audible, which is great. So not that I don't stand by what I wrote. I know now I could write it better. And I got a lot of that from the reviews, I feel like. I feel like I owe a lot to those readers.
So you're going into the reviews looking for like how to improve your craft.
Yes. So there's a lot, and it is hard, but there's a lot, I think, and I said this one time before, when we talked last, I look at things, and this is something I've learned years of therapy. In my brain, there's constantly a bubble. And in that bubble are things that I can control, and outside are things that I can't control. So if someone does say, oh, well, there was like a bunch of typos, which grammar and typos can be a little subjective, I've also learned, but that's okay. So whenever that comes, I'm like, oh, I need to make sure that I'm like double checking everything, but which, I have a wonderful, wonderful team now, and that's really not as much of a problem over these past couple of releases. But that's something I could work on. But the ones, not that they're wrong, everyone is entitled to their opinion 100%. But if someone's like, oh, well, I didn't like XYZ trope, that's okay. You're still allowed to feel that way, but that's not really something I can control.
Correct.
Whenever it comes to writing and like perfecting, like growing my craft, it's okay to leave that review 100%. It doesn't necessarily give me room to learn. Now I've seen some people say like, oh, well, I wanted a little more drama, which is okay too. So sometimes I have books that have a little bit more drama, and I have some books that don't have a lot of drama. And so like you see those things, and I take them all into account, and I try to like learn. Like sometimes I am going to have books that'll have a little bit more drama and some that won't. But some people will love that for it. So,
and
it's one of the
things. Author, you have to have that variety. You can't, because then it seems kind of repetitive. Like if everybody is an enemies to lovers, then you're like, okay, the whole town hates each other, and they hate the opposites, and you can only have so much of that. And people really do like sugary sweet couple. Yeah. I wrote a sugary sweet couple, and people adore them. And their conflict, like the third act breakup and all that is really, it's just so small, but everyone's like, oh my gosh, I love them. Yeah. I'm like, because that was kind of, it was kind of dull, Isn't it surprising?
It is surprising. The one that I am publishing that comes out on the 21st, and Despite It All, really, both of those are very low angst. Very low angst. And I wanted them to be low angst. It's okay if you wanted more angst out of them, but like I wanted them to have low angst. But I feel, even though I'm starting book 2, and I want it to still be a no third act breakup, but I'm feeling a little more angsty in the beginning for this couple. Like, I have wrote 2 really sugary couples lately, so I'm feeling a little bit more.
Sure.
A little more.
Sure. Someone has to. I know. Yeah. I think that's great though, that you have the mental strength to go in and read comments, because it is important, right? When we have our teams, although they're objective, they're kind of not, right? Nothing is more unbiased than a reader who doesn't know you.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And so how else do you think that you've grown? Like, what else have you learned? For those that are new and aspiring authors on here, everyone wants to always know, like, what are the tips and tricks that I need to be aware of?
Oh, it's so hard. whenever it comes to advice, I feel like, because not one thing works for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's taken me a while to learn, but a lot of times I've just really reminded myself to give myself grace to learn, because everyone's grass can be greener if you're focused on other people. So like, water your own grass and go from there. I like to listen to screenwriting podcasts. Those are really fun. I think those are really great ways to also learn. I have that Save the Cat. I did it by the screenwriters one, and then my friend had the Save the Cat novel one. So we like read both of them and then we swapped. So because the screenwriting one had a whole lot of different information that I thought was really interesting when applying it to a novel.
Are these podcasts or are they novels?
The Save the Cat was a novel, but then there was a marketing. I listened to, what's it called? Where's my iPad? I'll pull up the podcast I listened to. Any like screenwriting one is usually really fun to listen to. I feel like as screenwriters, they always have a really fun take on the writing process. And some stuff doesn't apply, obviously, because they're writing movies. But I think they're always so fun. And there was one that actually talked, it's the one I'm looking for right now, if I can figure out where
Does it help you with the dialogue? Because a lot of screenwriting, because there's a visual in movies, you don't have to explain as much as you do like in the written word, right?
Yeah, so this one is the Screenwriting Life with Meg and Megan Lorraine. It looks like, where's the little thingy? Oh, I might have to press play.
The Screenwriting Life by Meg.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like this. It was really good. There was one where the very first one they have is talking about taking criticisms.
Ooh.
And there was one aspect that I really loved in it where they said, they were mentoring someone and they sent them an email and they were like, I want the male character to do XYZ, but is that too cheesy? And she was like, stop what you're doing right now and go tell. She was like, name your like judgmental Sally a name, and then like go make her sit down in the corner, because you've got that thing in your head where it's like, oh no, I can't write this. And it's like, so she's like, anytime you feel that way, write it as hard as possible. Like, write it as cheesy as possible, and then read it back and then dial back whenever you feel. She's like, but if you like embrace that, oh no, we're all going to die, like the judgmental person in your head, everyone's going to hate this. And I'm bad about it too. I just last night sent a voice memo to my two of my best friends, Courtney and Brittany, and I was like, I feel like this is just not going to work. And they're like, stop it, just keep going. And so it's not a perfect system, but it is really great, like when you accept it and kind of lean into it a little bit, and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm just going to go really, really hard on this aspect of being cheesy or being whatever you want it to be, that area that's like, no, stop what you're doing because people will hate it. Like, lean into it so hard. And it's a really fun writing exercise.
Mollie, that's such a good piece of advice though, because we all have that, right? You'll be right. Yeah. If you're a pantser, or if you do any kind of writing outside of your outline, sometimes your characters take over and you're like, I don't even know where this is going. This may turn out to be junk. And so you're saying lean into it, get it all out, because through the editing process, you can tweak. But if you never write it, it never gets edited or a chance to see the light of day.
And that's what one of the great things of that podcast, because they had a bunch of aspects like that, where it wasn't even necessarily like crafting the dialogue, but the mindset of being like, just write it and then keep going. And the Save the Cat novel, you can get it off Amazon. It was really good about writing the, like, how to do the plots. And I actually, after I read that, I have plotted book 2 of the Boston Blue series, like all 15 points. And I'm super excited about that story. I had, like I said, I still have my moments. I still have my moments where I'm like, oh my goodness, imposter syndrome just gets really, really loud sometimes. And you have to have, like, I have those girls that I was like, I feel like this story is going off the rails. And they're like, no, like, keep going. And so
Yeah.
sometimes you have to be reminded of that too, even outside of your brain.
Well, I feel like that's where the magic happens, right? So we have like the logical and the creative brain. And so when your brain decides to take you down a road you didn't plan
Yeah.
for, I feel like it can be so magical because it's a direction you hadn't considered. And then when you get to the end, you're like, huh, this actually turned out to be pretty good.
We're actually thriving here.
So are you then plotting 100%, or do you kind of like do this 15-point plot and then you still pants a little bit, like, you know, to daisy chain it to get from one plot point to another?
Yes, it's like plotted. The 15 points are plotted, and then I have some chapters at the beginning and the end kind of outlined, which, you know, the end I don't really have like numbers for them, but I have like a thicker kind of like back-to-back chapters. But the middle is kind of, I have like the topics, but they're how they'll all connect will be more of like that pantsing aspect, like in the moment of learning who they are. And that is one thing, starting as a pantser and going into plotting, it was really, really difficult to learn, but
Girl, I hear ya.
it's very, very hard to adjust. And which, picture us, and despite it all, I both plotted them about 60% and then pants them about 40. The one I'm going into, I feel like in my head, the plot is like 80% there.
Nice.
And then I'll go into writing it. Now, when I get in there, I might not like it. And I think even that is part of where some of the alarm bells were going off, is I was like, oh, wait, some of this stuff needs tweaking. And the idea of tweaking the plot can sometimes be like that judgmental Sally, like danger, danger, you know, stop what you're doing. This wasn't your plan. But then it's like, okay, it doesn't, at the end of it all, it doesn't change the full plot. We just got to lean into it. We got to lean into that voice in our head, or tell the voice in our head to sit down and lean into the story of it.
Oh, that inner critic is too loud in everyone's voice, everyone's head, way too loud.
Right.
But I think you're right, because sometimes when you go and you write a scene and you go with the flow with that, it ends up in spots you don't know how to get yourself back out of. Or sometimes you write a character and you're like, what I just wrote doesn't even match the character. Or it kind of comes across like ick, like I don't want to do that. And so it's sometimes when you have that magic, it doesn't always work out.
Sometimes it doesn't. And that's okay. We're all giving grace. This year is the year of grace.
Yeah, so our let's see, author Sarah, she said, dreaming of the day I have 80% plot. We are writing on pure vibes over here.
Yeah, I don't know why my chat's not loading.
I don't know.
I
will read them to you.
I can't see any comments. It took me a very long, this is book 5 that I feel like I was like, okay. I just sat down one day and the plot was there. I did call my other best friend Kristen and was like, you got to help me with this ending. Like, you got to help me with this ending. I see it, but it's not completely there. And we talked for probably a good hour and a half. And by the end of it, I was like, this is it. This is it. And so I'm interested to like really get into this series with all of the things that I've learned.
Well, and I think it's important to have a team that supports you like you do.
Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes we write books, and then because we know the whole thing, we're the author, we don't always see our mistakes.
Yes.
I have my developmental editor. She just joined us here, and Lord knows, me and her talk about my books and where I'm going. And I typically like send her half, and I'm like, I have no idea where it's going.
No idea what we're doing here.
So then I sent her the back half, and she's like, ooh, like this one came across kind of sleazy, or this one. And I was like, oh, but you don't see it for yourself. It really does take someone else to go through your manuscripts. And that's so exciting when you have a team to help you that are just as invested in your success as you are. They want you to have a good story.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's been really great. The deeper into this community as I go throughout this career, just meeting so many incredible people. It's been amazing.
Yeah, but Instagram is awesome. Sarah said, One of my alpha readers helped me with a strong closing scene. So your team is so important too. It really is. And I think when you're a new and aspiring author, it's hard to have a team. So where did yours come from? Where did you find yours? And were they your first team, or have you had to move on to other people that supported you better?
Well, and I think a lot of times, so currently, we could start with Courtney, my TikTok girl. She's really fun because we were actually just talking about this, and I'm not sure if she's in here because it even says like we have, for my end, it doesn't say anyone's watching. I don't know what side. But anyways, she read my debut after it released through, and she found me through TikTok, and she posted about it. And then I reached back out to her for book 2, and I was like, do you want to ARC read for it? And she said yes. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then this past summer, we were kind of talking after she beta read Despite It All for me. But we were talking about TikTok, and she was like, she has been someone who like I just feel her like love for my series, and I was like, we're gonna do this, and it's changed my career entirely. So like it's all kind of happened naturally. I have wonderful people that have been with me from the very beginning. My alpha reader Isabella, and my other alpha and one of my assistants, Kristen, both of them ARC read my debut, and they've been with me ever since. Like they've been by my side ever since, and that's been super, super, super fun. And
how did you meet them? Did you meet them on social media also?
Yep, all through Instagram, and a lot of just marketing has been really how these connections have grown. And really, I don't think I've told anyone like goodbye. Like, you know, everyone's kind of, everyone grows in this industry, and we keep moving along with each book, but it's been a really great experience to have.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. So for those that are listening, Bookstagram is the place to hang out, and also book talk. Because you do find people, readers are voracious, and they love to connect with authors. And I think that's such a compliment. Yeah. And someone reaches out to us, and they love your story as much as you love your couple.
Yes. And I do try to like update beta readers every time too. So like even with, and I think that's even helped too, like upping like the team that I've had that stayed consistent. I also try to like every beta read, I try to change it up a little bit and have some fresh feedback, because you know, I want that feedback. Like I want those critical things. I know it sounds hard, but and sometimes it does. It is hard to get the critical, but it's necessary.
We grow through the criticism. And yeah, I know I have an alpha reader who's been with me. My 12th book comes out at the end of this month, and she's been with me since book 1. But I love her, but she's a hype girl. She is not. She's like, oh my God, I love this. Oh my God, this is my favorite book. No, this is my favorite book. I'm like, okay, I love you, but I'm going to have to move you down to just like social media.
That is saying, I do feel
pretty will not give a bad comment about you. She's just she is an amazing person, super happy, and just her outlook on life. You just want to be around her. She's so great. But yeah, she's not the one for critical assessments.
I do feel I feel pretty blessed to know that my like the core, they're all highly critical.
I know,
in like a best way. But
when you say that, people are dying. You're like, I need meat. I have 2 that are brutal. I mean, just brutal. And so, you know, when I get it back, do I need to be sure I'm in a mental state for it? Yes.
Yes.
But it's so true, because they make our writing better.
They do. They do. They do indeed.
Yeah, Sarah, I have 5 alphas, 2 strong developmental helpers, and 1 who screams and cries over everything.
Yes.
Exactly.
You do have to have the one hype person. At a minimum, I do need one hype person.
You do. You have to. She's who I text when I'm ready to scream. Because when I first started, there was an author who was highly published and making she was making $500,000 a year. And she wasn't my mentor. And so she always says, when you grow to hate your book, that's when you know it's time to release it. I'm like, this is terrible advice.
Yes.
Oh,
I
horrible.
love, I have it right here. I have pictures. I love this book, but if I have to read it one more time, if I
totally get it.
one more time, I'm gonna throw it out the window.
I know, that is so true, because we've been through it so many times. You're like, I can't even see my mistakes anymore. I'm so blind to everything.
No, I cannot see a single mistake. At this point, it is what it is. It's been through dev, it's been through copy, it's been through dev, then betas, then copy, then proofs, and then I've still read it one more time after that, and not even counting the 15 times I've read it before. Like, what's there is there.
Well, and when you're an author, you cut scenes out, or you cut pieces out that just don't work. So by the time you get to the end, you're like, is that actually in it, or is it cut? And so sometimes, yeah, you have to read it a zillion times because you're like, oh, that never got in there.
Yeah. See, I'm an underwriter. I will say I underwrite, so if someone doesn't take it away from me, I'll just keep adding stuff that probably doesn't need to be there.
Oh, girl, I would love to be an underwriter. I am a over writer.
I'm under. I am
yes.
under. I got it. Usually the first draft is about like 80 to 82,000 words usually, and then with my second draft I usually add another 3,000 to 5,000, and then the third draft I usually add another 3 to 5.
So you're almost at what, 92, 95?
I usually I try to get to between 87 to 90 at the end.
Okay, gotcha.
It just depends. Usually that's like my sweet spot for my stories, I feel like. Will I write longer one day? Possibly, yes.
Well, that is a pretty long word count for contemporary romance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've noticed a lot lately, though, getting longer, which I think is really, really neat to see that growth that with publishing, having some longer contemporary romances, I think is really, really cool. For me personally, the 87, 90 hits me good.
The readers want it. They want more of your character. They don't want it to end.
Yeah, I know. Except when I'm writing it, I'm like, we're done here.
Cut.
So tell
us about that experience with Audible. Did you have to hire your own voice talent? How does that work? Because there's, audiobooks are super popular. We're all waiting in line. We're all commuting. We're all stuck somewhere with time on our hands. And that's what people like to do is, listen. So how did that come together for you as because you are that would be your first series. So you are a new author in the audio space.
I am. I actually don't remember if I had this deal whenever we talked, did we? I don't know if we did. It was actually quite crazy. The week of release for Despite It All, my husband had asked me, he was like, what's your, 5-year plan? And I was like, eventually I would like to get an agent, and I would like to have an audiobook deal. Like I would like to have an audiobook. And then not picture us, I'm looking at it. Despite It All came out. I have the special editions next to me too because I just love them. I got them in today. Despite It All came out, and it did really, really well. Really, really well. And I had sent, now I say this word wrong, the Southern in me has a very hard time saying it.
Okay.
I queried, it takes me a minute. I have to really think about it. An agent, and she got back with me just a few days after release, and we had a meeting and we talked, and I was like, I was feeling so good about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get one of my goals that I had for the 5 years. Like, I feel really good about working with her, and I hadn't signed a contract yet. I was like, I'm gonna take a little breather and just think about it for a minute. And then I got an email from Podium Audio saying that they wanted to pick up all 3 books for Audible. I was like, oh my word, the 5-year goals that I had planned both happened the same day. And it was a crazy experience. So I told my husband about it, and it was just crazy. It was so fun. I signed with the agent a couple days after, and then she took over the deal with Podium for them to buy the rights for the audiobooks. They have been fabulous to work with. I mean, absolutely fabulous. Now with any deal, there's like some stuff I'm not allowed to like disclose, but they have been wonderful, very communicative. We discussed a lot with the audiobook narrators. This series is done by Amy Hall and Thomas Oakley, and whenever we talked about it, they were the two that I was like, they would handle the series just so well. Like, they would be my top picks. And then they took it to them and they had room in their schedules and they were both down. And I was so excited. Was so excited. So book 1 is out on Audible now. And then book 2 comes out March 18th. And I'm not allowed to say anything about book 3 yet. But I'm I just feel so good about it. I love it. And I can't speak too much about Picturesque.
Oh, that's so exciting though. So then they have the audio rights. Mm-hmm. And then what does your agent do for you on the new series?
So we are currently, I am someone who actually really, really loves being indie. I really enjoy it. I try not to say this because it has such a like negative connotation, but I have a control problem. I do. I like to be in control of things, just always how I've been. So we are still kind of, I'm not against any sort of like trad deal or like a hybrid deal, as far as if we did like paperback only. But I'm happy where I'm at. I'm really happy with the career that I've gotten or like the career that I've grown and now have. I do want to continue growing. I want to continue learning and just having a career that I can stand behind and be really proud of. So it's not to say that I won't take something if it was offered, but for now, we're just kind of taking it one step at a time. You know, we look at audio rights for Picture Us, and then I would like some foreign translations. Those can take quite a while, just because talking internationally can, you know, timing and all that. It takes a little while. So we kind of look at those things and just taking it one day at a time.
That's so exciting though, because you have a blueprint. And I mean, to achieve your 5-year goal within a day, like weeks within your last release, I mean, that's phenomenal.
I have been forced. My agent did make me write out new goals. Which my goals are like really kind of small right now, where she's like, you have to keep having goals, and I'm like, I understand, yes, to have the goals to keep going. And I'm like, every day I'm just happy to be here.
That's awesome. So do you have to, since you're still indie, but you have an agent who controls the timeline of publishing and deadlines, and you have to get it, you know, the first draft done? Okay, so it's still you. Okay.
It's still me. It's still me for now. My agent is very great. She, she tries to help keep me like on top of things. But she's like, I've got you in the background. You tell me what your plan is and I'll coordinate from there. And I'm like, okay, great. So she has my tentative plan for this year. And so she has everything through 2026. Of my like plan, but I'm like, I don't know. That's always been my thing where it's hard with goals, because I'm like, I never know where it's going to take me, you know. And to say, sometimes I get hard on myself if you don't achieve a goal within that time frame. It's kind of hard. So that's why I kind of like thinking of, I don't usually like the whole 5-year goal thing, but that's what my husband was like, what are you thinking? I just threw out the first 2 things, and I was like, those are like my top priorities. But I like seeing where the year takes me. Sometimes I feel like I like the goal to be a surprise in itself.
That's so cute.
I want to be surprised by my own goals.
You're like me. I want to be in on the secret. Yeah.
I don't like surprises itself when I know about the surprise. Like, you know what? Like, I don't want to know if there's a surprise coming. I just want to be genuinely surprised.
That's so cute. So tell us about the new series. Picture Us is such a cute name. The cover is adorable, and that comes out on February 21st.
Yes, it does. I'm super excited. I cannot help but obsess over this cover. It just turned out so cute, and it's the title. I wish I could announce the series names, because when I say that I love this series titles as a whole, I love them. They're so fun. Very baseball, but not, I can't give it away. It's so hard. But as they come out, because I will announce book 2 probably within the following week of this one coming out. It's not finished yet, but like I'll announce my plan and like the title and stuff. But this one obviously as a pitcher is was like, it's the baseball pitcher, but it's a pun, and who doesn't love a good pun? So it's the pitcher.
It's very clever.
I love it. The team photographer and the MLB pitcher, they have he is being traded to a new team along with the team's catcher, and that happens to be, like, coming along with him is his sister, who, whenever they move, her brother finds out that the team doesn't have a team photographer, and he sets his sister up to get the job. So she gets that. They both also, as they're moving, they end up living next to each other. So she's next to she's neighbors with the now pitcher, Will. And, you know, it was funny whenever I was talking about it with my friend Danny. She was like, oh no, she lives next to him. Like, what is she gonna do? Like, we're like being so dramatic about it. Darn, she lives next to the hot pitcher. Whatever will she do? But they developed this really sweet friendship, and then they, you know, the friends to lovers is there. It's got a ton of found family, especially with like the baseball team. The team itself is just a whole bunch of goofballs, and I love that. Like, you really, I like to say that this has got almost like a Gilmore Girls aspect to it, but then it also has this like New Girl vibe where the guys are just like silly and fun, and I'm really excited for what's to come for this series.
Will it be 3 books like your last one, or could you get more since it's a whole baseball team?
It'll be 5. It was going to be, well, it'll be like 5 and like a 0.5. There's 5 full books. It was going to be 4, but whenever my alpha team got a hold of this book, they were like, you got to add this other guy in there. Like, you've got to add him.
This
like,
guy
there's no... He sat down at the table in my head and he was like, yeah, I'm getting a book. I was like... So we added him, so it's now 5. There is one couple that's already in the book, that's a teammate, and they're already together. You get little snippets. I'm going to have them a short little novella that's actually going to start only being available in my newsletter. So like, if you want to read them, you'll have to like go sign up for my newsletter. So
good,
almost
good
like a little 0.5 in there somewhere for the novella. But for a while, it'll only be available on my newsletter.
That's a smart idea. Good marketing.
It was actually it was an idea by another fellow author, and we're all going to have, like, it'll be a collection. They won't be, it's almost like an anthology, but we'll all just have them through our newsletters, and we're just like all doing them at the same time, and I'm very excited for it. Now, it will have more of a small town, it's like a prequel, so it'll have more of a small town vibe to it before he like becomes full baseball. So, but I'm very excited. I think it'll be very fun.
Oh, that sounds fun. That's such a cute idea too. And you know, when you swap with other authors, you get exposed to like their people and their works, and it's wonderful all the way around.
I'm very excited.
Okay, so book 1 comes out the 21st, so you guys go and look her up and buy it. And then, is it in KU or is it everywhere?
It'll be in KU.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, KU. So on book 2, have you started?
I have started. I'm about 15,000 words into it right now. And I always feel like the first 15 to 20 is where I am the most like read alarm bells are going off, and I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And really, like, when I think about it, there's so many people in my head now. So I'm like trying to write them, and I'm trying to market Picture Us, and then I am still marketing the other 3 books as well. So like keeping all of the people. But in the first 15K, like, I'm figuring out who they are. Because while I have the plot, I feel like I don't ever truly learn my characters until I'm writing them. No matter how much I write out who they are as a person, it's always like that first quarter, that first big plot point where I'm like, who are you?
It's very true, because you have to figure out their idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm.
What are their speech patterns? What words do they use? You know, if it's based on, is it bruh? Is it dude? Is it bro?
Yes.
You know, man, all the different, yeah. So you kind of almost have to figure out everybody. And like I always say, the first draft is telling yourself the story.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We're getting to point A to Z, and then we go back and fill in any of those missing letters, and then we cross our T's and dot our I's. The alphabet will come together at the end, but right now we're just getting from beginning to end.
How long does it take you usually to write? Not the editing part, but you said there's like, you know, your first, second, third drafts.
Through the second and third.
Yeah. So if you're just the writing, because I assume you edit after, you don't write and edit at the same time. It doesn't sound like it.
So I have my developmental editor will do dev as we write. Usually I start her after about like the first 30, and she'll like do it in chunks. So
first 30,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. And then we go through that. This time, since it's a little more plotted, I'm halfway considering not starting her until like 50 to 60,000 words in, but that's, we do start that in the middle. And then it usually takes me about 3 to 4 months to really, I think I wrote Picture Us in 3, from like minus copy, like from, yeah.
So 30,000 words a month.
Yeah, typically.
Girl, that keyboard is smoking.
It's quite difficult at times. And I'm wanting to finish this one by the end of March. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we're going to get there, but I've got to be more serious about it. If I really sit myself down.
Do you write every single day, or what is your writing routine typically?
I do have like a word goal every day. I don't typically hit it. I am trying to be better about sitting down to write something every single day, whether it's just 200 words or it's 2,000 words. Right now my word goal for the day, unfortunately my daughter was sick. She's been sick for like a week and a half.
Oh dang. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's been a mess.
Is she okay now, or is she getting on the upswing?
She's feeling better today. She was feeling a lot better today. She had the flu like the week before, and then she was good for a couple of days, and then she got RSV.
Oh no.
She's 2.5. But she is mean as a snake. So really she was just like, she was sick, but you know, she wasn't like that real sad sick. She's not like a whiner. She's just mean.
That's hilarious. How old is she, roughly?
She's 2.5.
She's mean.
She's mean. She's mean as a snake.
That's the most honest mom statement ever.
She is. I say she's my sister all the time. Yeah, she is. She is my sister. And thankfully, I just have a lot of experience with that person.
Yeah, God's like, hey, let me give you one of your own.
I'm like, I was great. Why am I getting one of my sister? Which I love my sister so much. I love her with my whole heart. So I guess they thought I needed two. So.
That is so cute.
But yeah, so I got a little behind. Usually my word goal was like 1,000 a day, but now it's like 1,400 a day, just because I really wasn't hitting my word goal. And there was a couple of days where I didn't. Like yesterday, I think I only wrote 400 words when I needed like 1350. So now it's up to like 400. It was 1400 and something when I looked at it earlier. So.
But when the babies are sick, you know, and husband's doing his thing, working in that, I mean, everyone wants their mama. When they're sick,
Yeah.
it's all, so it's really,
It's
her writing during her nap time, it's really difficult.
it's been heavy mama. She's only wanted mama, much to my husband's dismay. He loves being a dad so much, so he's like been super upset about it. And he's like, I want to help, but she's been against it, like against it. She doesn't want him to help at all. He turned on Ariel for her the other day, and she was like, I wanted mommy to turn it on, and he was like, I'm just turning on your TV.
The precious little girl. Well, I hope she is on the upswing, getting better, because
Me too.
flu and then RSV, you're like, dang, just clear up already.
Yes. We did take her to the doctor, and they made sure that her lungs sounded great and everything. Yeah. So we don't, even though like we were thinking that she had RSV and then we took her, they were like, she is handling it great, minus the fact that she's being handled.
Yeah.
So it's always she's feeling much, much better today.
Good. You want to finish the book, you said, by March. Mm-hmm. Do you have a release date in mind then?
I have the month in mind. I always tell myself, this is me giving myself grace in my own brain. I tell myself 1 month, and tentatively I would like to go for June. That's what I would like to do. But I tell myself that life just sometimes doesn't work out that way. So my backup plan is July. So while I'll probably announce the like title and the couple, I'll probably won't release the actual like release date until probably April.
Well, because you have to get it through your writing, then over to the editors, and then any kind of rewrites, and it's a whole process to get on everyone's schedule also. Yeah,
if I can, once I have like a very strong like second draft, and I'm about to really kind of incorporate that full editing process, that's when I really am like, okay, here's the clear timeline that we have. And this time it was actually really great. I've picture us writing it. I was writing like crazy and worked really, really hard, but I've actually been kind of ahead, which has been really nice. So I do have that little bit of, I've had that grace to where I haven't had to write every single day, even though I wanted to.
Nice.
It's been really nice. So I'm hoping I can keep that up. So that is my goal, with the anticipation of like hitting my word goals a little bit more seriously. Is keeping that, being like, oh, it is okay if I take a break here or there.
Yeah, because you don't want to burn out.
Yeah,
I know you're burn out you either.
If I'm burning out on anything, it's marketing. But
well, speaking of marketing, what are the things have you tried that worked, and what have you tried that hasn't worked? And disclosure for anyone listening: just because it works for one author doesn't mean it worked for you, and vice versa. Just because it didn't work, it could work for you. So.
Yes. It was really funny because I have a business degree, and what comes with that is taking a couple of marketing classes. And if you want your feelings hurt, go take a marketing class.
Really? Why?
So one of the things that I have learned, and this is one of the most brutal things, and this kind of helped me with the fact that it's like, okay, I do have to write, is they said you can't market something that you don't have, and it won't market well without the quality of it. So like that was in the marketing class, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that usually helps me keep like the fresh mind of like, okay, I've got to write these books in order to market them. So like whenever I kind of keep that mindset, it helps me kind of like be like, okay, marketing is important, but let's also go back to our books because that is the core of it. So sometimes I think that has helped with my marketing. I know it sounds strange, but just to kind of keep the core in the quality of my stories. Now, as far as when it comes to the advice, like I said, this doesn't work for everyone, so I'm going to try to keep it as like the core values that I go with. So one of the things that was also taught in the class was to market to an 8-year-old. Now, I know that sounds funny because obviously I'm going to expand. Hang with me. I am not about to market my book to 8-year-olds. It's not that literal whenever it comes to it. But when we think about our attention spans, truly, especially with social media, it's so short, like an 8-year-old. And so whenever I go to make content, I keep my any words, so especially like TikTok where you can do the 2 slides, any words on the first page are going to be quick and easy to understand. Mm-hmm. And if I showed it to an 8-year-old, essentially, they would be able to read it and comprehend it like quickly. And then I usually will look at it as a whole and be like, when would an 8-year-old get bored? Like, when would an 8-year-old be like, oh, this is too wordy? Like, I'm bored here, and then move on. And then I usually try to keep in mind of the hooks that I have. So I'm like, whenever I'm scrolling in general, I look at what I'm doing. I'm like, when am I getting bored? Is it the music that's hooking me? Is it this? Because a lot of times readers are very smart, but then also you have to keep that 8-year-old thing. I want to keep it quick and simple, but I also have to trust that my readers like have the comprehension to understand like, oh, I don't have to spell it out to them. So that's been a really big thing that I've noticed. Like keeping it very simple is like the biggest quick catch and grab. And then usually I give myself a lot of grace to pivot. A lot of times on TikTok, things don't hit. Yeah. And I'm like, whenever something doesn't hit, I like look at it as a whole. I'm like, okay, is it, did I do that whole process again? Was it too wordy? Like, when would someone not be paying attention? Because even when it comes to my captions on my Instagram, if I scan over something, I'm looking for the eye-catching emojis that catch my attention, like the exclamation mark, the stars, the eyes that like look sideways. Because every time I see those, I'm like, oh, what are they talking about? Like I want to, whenever I think of my marketing, I think of, oh, how do I make them go, oh, what are they talking about? Like but in the simplest form.
Genius, because everyone has a secret that everyone wants to know.
Yes. Everyone has this, and it can be something so simple as the emoji. Anytime I see emojis with the side eye, I'm like, what are they talking about? And that's just me, but that's me. And so I try to really, whenever I'm scrolling through, I highly engage with bookish content, especially on TikTok. I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, what was it that made me stop and watch this video? Like, what was it that made me stop? Was it because even hooks can be as simple as the audio. A lot of times I'll go through like hashtags on TikTok and scroll through like what I'm using to find like up-to-date TikTok sounds that are popular in my niche. So like sports romance is really like the niche I'm in. So I try to like highly engage with like sports romance. So now everything changes because I've noticed a big change in Instagram's algorithm lately. And so as of right now, I'm like, okay, well, what I had is starting to not work as much. So let's change it up. We're going to change it up and move on and try new things because it's just going to keep changing. So a lot of it is just giving yourself grace to pivot, be Ross Geller, and just be like, pivot. We're pivoting.
The second you said that word, I was thinking pivot.
Pivot. We're pivoting and moving on. My marketing is nowhere near what it was when I started book 1. And I just changed it up. And we're just, every step of the way, we're just going to, if it's not working, all right, we'll change it.
Is social media one of your main marketing tools, or is it your only?
It is. Right now, it's the main. I do try to keep up a good newsletter. My website, I am obsessed with my website. I love it. I am trying to utilize it a little bit more. Like I said, I do love to learn. I do love to learn these things. So I have been like looking at different ways of marketing. Whenever it comes to this year, I'm going into book conventions more. I want to start working in more like signings and networking. So like those are always a really great way to like go into marketing as well. So I've started one and then now I'm going to try to like add in some more. So, and I'm sure so many other people have so many other great platforms that have like worked for them outside of social media. And I want to learn. I want to learn what those are because I think it's really interesting to just see the process.
I think it's fascinating, everything that you're doing. It sounds like, you have a lot of irons in the fire and you're like testing the market. That didn't work. Like you said, pivoting. But I think it's important because, authors, let's be honest, we want to write books.
Yes.
We don't want to have to do all the other stuff, but that's part of your being an entrepreneur is you have to do all the other stuff.
You have to do all the other stuff. Sometimes I'm like, I wish someone would follow me around for the day to realize all the stuff I do. If I showed you my office right now, there are 13 boxes in my floor full of books that I have to organize. I'm like,
oh, for your do you have a signing coming
yes,
up?
I'll be at SportsCon in Minneapolis at the end of this month, and I have books literally everywhere.
Oh, so do you have to ship them out there before? Are you flying with them? Well, I guess can you fly with them?
You can. A lot of people do fly with them, like they do a bunch of extra carry-on. Some people will ship them to the hotel. I'm actually going to drive. It's a 15-hour drive. But I'm
not alone though.
No, I'm on a road trip with my husband. We're meeting my friend Brittany. She's going to be like my bookish girly assistant, so she's coming with. I'm super excited for her to be there with me. But my husband, he works night shift, so he's like, I'll drive through the majority of the night and then we'll crash somewhere. And we've always road tripped really, really well. So that's one of the things that I'm not super worried about it. I'm like, we'll have fun. We have no hotel plan. We're just going to drive until we get tired. You
guys are adventurers.
It was one of our favorite things to do before we had kids. So anytime we can do that, we do that.
That's so sweet. Well, this has been a fast hour, but I don't want to close it until you tell everybody what your website is and where they can find you.
You can find me. So my website is just molliegoins.com. I am the Mollie with an IE. So I'm molliegoins.com. Obviously, you can follow me here. And my @ for TikTok is the same. So @author_Mollie Goins. Those are my two like big platforms, but you can go to my profile has like a full, this is actually a really good tip now that we're here. On my website, like if you do have a website, I created, instead of using a third-party link, like Linktree, I created my own Linktree landing page on my website. So all of that is on my website, and I get like the analytics that come with already paying for my website. So I'm not paying an additional third party, because Linktree was like, pay for more analytics to see who's clicking on what. But then I just uploaded it to my website and I can see all of that even though I'm already paying for my website. And it's driven up my like viewership to all of my different like pages, because I do have signed books for sale on there, but it's driven that up a lot because people are clicking that and then they're like, oh, well, I'm already at her website. So that was a really fun thing that I incorporated to my website.
Who do you use then? Is it like Square or WordPress?
Shopify.
Oh, Shopify. Oh, I didn't realize that they can handle just like website. I know obviously they're a shopping cart e-commerce, but I didn't think about they just do websites.
Yeah. It's been really fun. My website's got the shop, my homepage. We've got a full landing page for events. We've got blogs with bonus scenes, which the bonus scenes I wouldn't recommend reading if you haven't read the books, because defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
But we have a full Boston Blues page where it's got like the full 26 roster. We have the team that is like in that league. You know, there's like 2 leagues for baseball, so we have 1 league there. We're working on adding more, like adding a way to put the walkout songs, like the teams walkout. So we're trying to get that incorporated to the website now, which I think is super fun. And yeah, we've got more info. I've got like the dictionaries, the DICK dictionaries located for the books there. So like you can go find spicy chapters, you can find the trigger warnings, fun facts about me, like all of that stuff is there.
Oh, that's awesome. So you guys go check out our website, molliegoins.com. Thank you so much for being here with me. And
Thank you.
congratulations on the release coming next week.
I'm super, super excited. Yeah, it'll be available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited on the 21st.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will connect again in the DMs.
Yes.
Bye, Mollie.
Bye.